Hey everybody, welcome to Disaster Communications Channel. Today I'm going to continue on the series about the 3 different radios I recommend for everybody. And again, I'm doing it in levels. So like this FRS, we talked about those on another video. This is going to be more for your entry-level people that not really tech advanced. This is for more like people that are not real tech savvy. For example, like my 84-year-old mom, she may not be very good with the smartphone and getting around on the apps and stuff, but one of these FRS radios she can manage just fine. Maybe some children, stuff like that. So this is what I'm calling my entry level beginner mode. The GMRS, which we're going to get into today, is more in my advanced mode, and then the expert modes or the ham radio. So again, that's kind of how I'm suggesting it: beginner, intermediate, and advanced modes. So today we're going to jump in and do the unboxing on the GMRS Pro made by BTECH. All right, well, I'm really excited about this. My friends at BTECH sent me a couple of GMRS Pros. A lot of the reviews and stuff, they only have one radio, so you don't really get to see the app and some of the functionalities there. I have 2, so I thought I would take and do an unboxing of the second one here. I've already had the other one out testing with it. But again, I haven't been able to use some of the texting features and the advanced features because you really need both. So I was saving this for the unboxing. So let's just get into it. First thing you see is the radio. And I always like to check for the FCC type acceptance. This is the model GMRS-Pro made by BTECH. Also in the box you get a USB-C cable, USB-A to USB-C. This cool little handy screwdriver, Phillips head and flathead on the other end. That is for putting the belt clip on right here. And also in the box you're going to get the battery. Get a hold of it here. One thing I thought was interesting here is the USB-C actually charges in the back directly into the battery. I thought that was pretty interesting. I think this may be a first for me on some of the radio gears. The charge indicators right there on the battery. So I guess if you had 2 of these, you could just charge the second one and leave it charging while you're using the other battery. So that's kind of cool. And that's pretty much it. Get the important, there's some Bluetooth pairing guidelines, some directions for that, and the handy manual. And I've kind of peeked at the manual of the other radio. And so let's get into this. Slide the battery on. And the first initial powering on. This does have a GPS and a compass built into it. Oh, I used to never pull those off. I always like saving them and putting them on, just try to help protect a little bit. So it's going to show you here in the manual a couple of the features. There is if you're a ham radio operator, we're used to using frequencies. In the front of this is a chart here that kind of breaks down the frequencies and the channel numbers and how they relate. Some setup directions on how to put the belt clip on. And just some technical stuff. Now, I will say with GMRS, you are required to get a license for GMRS. It's not license free, but I did that, and I went on the ULS, Universal License Systems for the FCC. You do everything online. It's real simple. It took, I did it probably, let's say, about 6 p.m. one night, and by the next morning I already had the call sign for mine. And it was $35, and that's for a 10-year license. That 10-year license is good for me and any immediate family members. So, and the way the FCC lists that is pretty extensive. Could be in-laws and stuff like that as well. All right, so just real quick, like I want to kind of go just a quick overview of some of the features of this. This BTECH GMRS Pro is IP67 submersible radio with texting and location sharing. That's via the app. Does have a GPS, Bluetooth audio, has a compass in it, NOAA weather radio alerts. So unlike the FRS didn't have the alert feature built in. It has the weather channel, but not the alert. So the nice thing about the alert is I could be monitoring my normal family channel here and have the alert function turned on. And if there is an alert come out, it'll sound a little alarm here, and then I can go there and check and see what's going on. It does say that while the alarm's going off, you can push a button to silence the alarm. I wouldn't say it's a crazy loud alarm, just something to alert you there. It does have dual band VHF, UHF scanner. It's a long range 2-way GMRS walkie-talkie. And that's also has the 2600 milliamp battery with Type-C charging. All right, so just recap some of the features on this. It is IP67 submersible GMRS. I don't know. I've never been a fan of doing that, but I've seen guys do it. But yeah, this will be fine outside in the water. It does have a Bluetooth app. We'll get into that here in a minute. 6-channel banks so that you can create custom banks how you like it. A lot of times I'll create one for, like scanning bank. Number 2 is operation bank. So you can create up to 6 different banks with that. Each of them can store 30 channels. So you can program some custom frequencies in here to monitor. So it's not just the channels that come with it that you can talk on. So that's probably a good reason to create some of those banks. Maybe one for main operation, bank number 2 for some of your popular scanning frequencies on VHF, UHF. Does have text and location sharing. We'll get into that with the app a little bit more. Offline maps. So on those apps, you can store the maps offline, which would be perfect for what we're wanting to use it for. Does have an onboard compass. In the app, you can modify the channels. You also use the app to update the firmware. It does have Bluetooth, so there's several accessories you can get, like wireless hands-free speaker mics and stuff. I've heard some people tying this into their CarPlay, Apple CarPlay and stuff. It does have a frequency range 462.550 to 467.7250. That's the GMRS receive and transmit. It does have a UHF and VHF scanning and receiver. Also has FM radio. It has 6 banks, 30 channels each, 180 total channels that you can have stored in the memory. You can program GMRS, NOAA, or VHF, UHF scanner frequencies. Has a 2 power settings, 5 watts and a half a watt, so high and low power. It has accessory jack on the side for headphone and microphone. And it's a special M1 2-pin type jack. It's not a traditional, but you can get some adapters if you want as well. And let's get the PTT button here on the left, and a couple other buttons here. Currently, it's set to up and down, channel up and down, but each one of these buttons are also assignable in the app there. So one key thing here on this sheet that came with it, it is recommending that you don't Bluetooth pair it through the phone's Bluetooth settings, but actually through the app. So that's important. And in the manual, it explains a little bit about how to find the app. So let's just skip ahead to that. Where's the frequency chart that we was talking about earlier if you wanted to know the actual frequency that everything's on. According to the manual, it says for Android or iOS, just basically go to your store, your app store, and search for BTECH and GMRS Programmer, and I see mine popped up here. And that is it, so you're just going to download it. And then just open it from there. I'm going to allow the location, allow the Bluetooth, and once you're in, you're going to hit this left button on the side, the bottom left. This is on the iOS, so of course it may look different for there. And then on the radio, you're going to come in, hit your menu button, and turn on pairing. And it just showed up there. So you select it, pair, and as you can see here, the screen shows quite a few, shows like all the channel numbers. Let me return here on the, so you kind of see what's going on. So I can actually change the channels. I can come in here and change a lot of the functions. So there's a volume, squelch level, device speaker, it's on or off or auto. Maybe if you had a Bluetooth headset, you could turn this speaker off just to make sure it's only coming out the other. General settings, you have weather alert disabled, and you can turn the frequency on. I'm going to go ahead and, if you hit monitor,
highs around 50.
turns it on.
40%.
And then alert mode is where it basically checks for that alert tone every few seconds. All right, TX hold time, TX transmit hold time, transmit limit, time limit. That if it's stuck in your pocket or something, you get the push to talk button pushed. Tell elimination, audio relay, microphone gain. So if you're a quiet talker and somebody says they can hardly hear you, just go there and bump that up. Headphones, tone, power saving mode. So just kind of doing a quick scan over connection management, just channeling groups. That's how you can set up some channels and groups, it looks like. Scan, programmable buttons. So here's how you can go in there and change what each one of these buttons do. It does have the firmware from here, so let's just check the firmware on this particular unit. I know on the other one I did have to do an update, so I do want to say this. I'm glad this is happening on this one. As you can see, it's not really coming up with anything. I am on my home Wi-Fi, so let me turn that off. For some reason, it seems that I really believe this. Anytime if I'm connected to my Wi-Fi, my local ISP internet service provider seems to be blocking China connections. And I've had that with a couple other, like when I was trying to go one of the LilyGo websites, I noticed it was blocking it. So now if I come in here to firmware, you see how it gets it right away. So I'm going to download this. So again, just to reiterate that, if it's not working, I'm going to hit start update. When you first go to do that, if you have no connections or anything, it's not pulling up anything. It could be that your local ISP is blocking China for some reason. So in this situation, I just went to the Verizon tower, did it that way. So let me just say the ability to update the firmware wirelessly like this is just, I feel like it's a big advancement in communication equipment. A lot of times you're dragging out laptops you're grabbing a lot of different equipment, different cables, the correct cables. Do you have the right driver for the USB cable? It's quite a pain, and honestly, it takes a little time. This takes time, but honestly, you can do this in the evening, something like that, when you're not really using it. So just a couple seconds done. There it goes. Looks like it's updating firmware. Please do not turn off the power. All right, so we've kind of gone over some of the basics of the radio. I wanted to show you a couple more things here in the app. This is something I missed on a few of the videos, and have been able to figure out here just by tinkering around. The first thing you want to do, I'm struggling to get my position to show up on the map. I've updated the firmware on mine, so mine didn't look like some of the other videos I'd seen. So I did discover if you tap this little icon here, you come in here and label the nickname. So 958B, and I've got 958A on the other radio here. And that's pretty much just, A and B. I distinguish them differently. Then these next three little dots here, signaling via ID signaling over the radio, identification information, so I can send out my number. I enable my location, and then I enable the allow position check. Those are pretty important, because now when we come over here, the other important thing is you have to be on the same channel. So in this demonstration, I'm using channel 17, and I'm going to come out, and I'm in the basement, so the GPS isn't 100% here. But if I tap the message button, let's say on this A one, I come over here, I can see members. These are people I've heard, and I've changed a couple of these names, so this is going to be all new here for the demo. If I come back to message and hit the plus, I'm going to flip these radios down so you can see them transmit. So I'm going to hit the plus and select nearby people. So that transmits over to here. This one gets the request, and here within a few seconds it's going to transmit over to here. So now, in theory, I should be able to come back here and see that same. It may take a second for it to populate on the map. So members, it did populate here. The position's not there. So let's go here and just send it a message. So I'm seeing the members, and I'm seeing the message here, test. Now it wasn't, a while ago, it wasn't until I sent a message that it actually shows up on the map. So it seems like when it sends a position, at first it asks who's out there, so it sends out the call sign. And then when you send a message to it, it now appears on the map. So, or at least, I was able to send my position 958A. This is A over here. So now it appears here. So if I go back to reply to that message, so 958A. So we got the alert here. I don't have the alert turned on here, so it says received. So come out here, now show it 958B all here around the house. So two of those are from earlier before I changed the names. So as you see here, members, again, I only have two radios. I changed the name, so now it's 958B and A. And that's if you click the icon. If you click the name, it'll take you right into the communications there. Keep looking to see if I get any kind of confirmation that it was received. I don't so far see that, other than here. But one thing I will say, so come back to messages. You can see here on it says 958A to 958B at 462.600. So that's showing it. Now, you don't have to have the app to do this function to be able to transmit the position location. You can do a lot of this from the radio itself. I will say it's a little bit harder. So as I'm on the main screen here looking at my call sign 958B, if I hit this red button, it'll show me the location. Of course, it doesn't have it yet, but it's probably because I'm in the basement. But come over here, you can select and see it. See the previous messages. And then if I want to send it, I just come here to signaling, send a message, and that is all information. You can type in letters and stuff. Just, it's going to take a lot. You can do nearby people, you can send that. Now this does have a feature. I'd read somewhere somebody said that it'll transmit its position after each time you unkey. I've got to look a little further into the manual to see if I can find that feature. But if you're in a, let's say there was just a disaster, you're on the same channel, everybody's on an agreed channel, you can get in there, and now let's zoom this out, and you can have more of a larger scale event for your area. This is all UHF, so it's going to be more line of sight, 5 watts. You're talking maybe, if it's, again, I use the analogy, if you're on a cruise ship, you're on one side of the ship, all that metal is going to make it really hard to talk to the other side. But this has downloadable maps, so I would download the map for your area where you're at. While you have that downloaded, then if you have some kind of event or disaster that happens, everybody's on the agreed frequency. You can send out a message, with your location. You can send your location, and it's a good way to have tactical comms and communication. You can still do voice if need be, but there's times like if you're trying to, some people like to conceal their identity. And even though anytime a radio transmits, you still put out your footprint, your RF footprint. People can direction find you. But at least you can conceal some of your identity, and just by using data versus voice. So as you can see, these GMRS radios are going to provide a little more advanced communication and options available than what let's say your beginner FRS radios. So I like these FRS. They're going to be for grandma, something like that they can handle. Then the GMRS is going to be my intermediate users that they like to use the apps. They like texting. Sometimes people like to text. I can tell you with my wife and daughter, they're going to text versus get on the radio and talk. They don't like to have their voice. The GMRS is licensed, but that license is just $35 for a 10-year license. And that covers anybody in the family, the immediate family. There's no test to study for, anything like that. It's just basically a few questions. And that's on the website for ULS. That's the Universal License Systems through the FCC. So a simple way to get to that is just Google ULS FCC, and then that'll bring you to that site. New users will have to register. So that just took a few minutes to get that filled out and to use. But these little BTECs, I really like them. They're the only model. And I will say too, the app and the texting capability is only valid through BTECH. BTECH's the only company that has that on these GMRS Pros. So if somebody has just a generic GMRS radio and they're trying to send you a message and you're not getting it, well, that's the reason why is they're not using the GMRS Pro. So really nice. I will say too that the FCC required these antennas to be glued down on here. Anytime GMRS data being sent over it, they require the antenna to be fixed. They basically, the FCC doesn't want that data just flooding the channels. So they require it to be more of a line of sight type of operation. There's some users online that have showed that if you apply just a little bit of heat here, maybe a little pressure, that you could take those antennas off. And then just like using like the Baofangs, or even something similar to this. This is the ham radio version. So basically that antenna is going to look a lot like this once this comes apart. So if you are into modifying, and apparently you could do that. For us, this could, I'm not really wanting everybody in the countryside to see my location, so we're going to stick with something like this and leave the antenna fixed. Again, most of these are going to primarily be used for like my immediate family. They're not interested in becoming ham radio operators and learning the skills to operate something like this. So they're something simple like this. Still have some, they're not having to put their voice out there. They're not wanting to advertise who they are, type of thing. If you'd like more information about these, or check the price to order on Amazon, look at the description. I have an affiliate link in my description. And on that link, you'll see the FRS1, the GMRS Pro, and the DMR radio 6x2 Pro. And you can get those directly from Amazon from BTECH. So you have the Amazon Prime options. And but yeah, I like the waterproof IP67. I really am happy. I'm excited. And I got my license, the call sign for GMRS, so I'm excited to give this a try. I'm going to give my daughter one, my wife one, and we're going to try it out and test it out. The GPS is right here on the top. Really, you got quite a bit of functions for a radio like this, and really good price. If you like this, do me a favor, like it, subscribe. If you're not subscribed, appreciate it. Share it if you'd like. But definitely encourage, your family and your friends to get a communication plan. And we'll go, once we get past this series, we'll step into more of communication plans. But to get started, you got to have a radio. So if you got the beginner, start there. Once you get comfortable with it, upgrade here. Kind of get experience. Keep both, because you can still use this to monitor this while you're having a conversation here. And then hopefully, for those of you that want to get into more of the advanced, you'll eventually keep all of these. That way you can be monitoring here at the same time. So anyways, this video is pretty long, so I'm going to jump off. But if you have any questions, just send a comment, send a message. Thanks.